Welcome to the Aging Boomers. I'm your host, Frank Sampson. And of course, on this show, many of you know, we discuss so many of the issues facing boomers, their parents, and what we know, of course, is an aging population. And so I just, again, want to thank everybody for all their support. So many of you have gone on iTunes, iHeartRadio, have gone directly to our website at agingboomers.com. Of course, we're on Boomian now. And Stitcher, Spreaker, all those online stations. And, of course, many of you have downloaded our free app. So if you have an iPhone, iPad, any type of Apple or Android product, you could download Aging Boomers on your free app and be updated each and every show. So, and today's show is sponsored by Senior Care Authority. We're a professional senior placement and elder care management organization that has a national network of advisors to help in determining the right path for seniors in receiving proper care and possibly even just supervision. So whether it's in-home care, assisted living, residential, or memory care, get the necessary advice from a senior care advisor in your area by calling Senior Care Authority at 888-809-1231, or of course you could go to the website at seniorcareauthority.com. And I'm very excited about our guest today. She's a local Californian here, geriatric care manager, author. Her name is Lois Tager. Lois is the Director of Geriatric Care Management at the Law Office of Roy W. Litherland, an estate planning and elder care law firm. She holds a Master in Education, specializing in counseling and psychotherapy, from Providence College, a Bachelor of Science in Education from Boston University, and is a fellow certified senior advisor and geriatric care manager. Lois worked with the Alzheimer's Association for 12 years as a facilitator for caregiver groups. She published Sundown Syndrome, a premiere. We'll talk a little bit with her about that. And she published that in the CSA Journal in the for the Society of Certified Senior Advisors. She also authored a column, Ask Lois, for the Alzheimer's Association, and is a regular contributor to the Law Office of Roy Litherland Monthly Elder Law Today newsletter. We're also going to be talking about Lois's new book that just came out. It's called What to Do with Your Stuff, a guide to decisions about personal possessions and life choice, a premiere for baby boomers, seniors, and families. Lois, welcome to the Aging Boomers. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on. Lots to discuss. I think what I'd like to just start out asking you, so our listeners know, what does a geriatric care manager do? I know we've discussed it on the show before with others, but we can't, talk about it enough. So why don't you explain what a geriatric care manager does?
Well, I think the best way for me to discuss it is how we do it in our office. And we are advocates. So if somebody goes into the hospital, needs to help in deciding what nursing home they need to go to, or to navigate the hospital system, they can call us. We can help them. We assess the situation, whether it's hospital, at home, helping them find the right place to live or stay in their own home safely, and how to do that. And then we assist them in any way we possibly can. And oftentimes we actually will help them find the money to pay if they have to go into a nursing home. And we do all the Medi-Cal applications and represent them in Medi-Cal. So we advocate and we assist and we assess.
That's great. Well, I commend you what you do. It's maybe it's not so unusual nowadays, but you work for a law firm. And I guess most geriatric care managers that I know of in the industry, they're usually, individual consultants. Maybe they have a firm of different geriatric care managers that specialize. How does it fit geriatric care manager with a law firm. Talk to us about that.
Well, personally, I think it's fabulous because seniors come in with all kinds of issues, not only just geriatric issues. And if they come to me with, say, they need help with nursing home placement, and they come to me and their paperwork is not in line, they don't have a power of attorney or a health care power of attorney or a health directive, then of course we have the ability to help them in their legal issues. It is a wonderful combination, and we found it to be very successful.
Okay.
And our clients are thrilled to know that they have somebody they can call when there's a problem that they can trust, because they trust the law firm. So we have found this to be very, very successful.
How many geriatric care managers are there within the firm?
2.
Ah, okay. All right,
Yes.
great. So we're going to get to your book in a minute, but as I mentioned in the introduction, you published an article on sundown syndrome in the Journal for the Institute of Certified Senior Advisors. And I'm pretty familiar just being in the business with sundowning, but I think many people have heard of it, don't quite understand it. It's quite I don't know if you want to call it a phenomenon or what, but can you tell us a little bit more about sundowning and help our people understand it a little better?
Well, sundowning usually happens around late afternoon. It's almost a change of personality. People start to get agitated, they get difficult to work with, or they get morose. They are not quite the same. And it often can continue. If it isn't dealt with at that moment when it first begins, we find that it can continue for hours. And so I always suggest, number one, turn that television off. If you see someone with Alzheimer's getting agitated, it is often because they cannot follow all of the things that are going on at once on a television program. And I always suggest soft music, take out an album of family pictures, go through things that are familiar to them, spend that moment with them. It's often difficult when grandparents, for instance, live in a home when all of the children come home from school at the same time, and commotion starts, and mother is busy, and the senior is confused. And that's a little bit about sundowning. It can go on for 3 hours, it can go on for an hour, and it can go on for 24. So it really is, you have to treat the patient just slightly different at that time. Make it calm, make it quiet, and spend a little extra time with the Alzheimer's patient.
Does researchers or the medical community know why it happens at that time?
Nobody has quite figured it out. We often think it's because at the end of the day, someone might be more tired. We often say it is great when they go to daycare and they are kept very busy, then they come home, they're tired in a normal type of way and ready to go have dinner and go to sleep. But nobody really knows. Can't quite figure out why it happens and why it happens usually in late afternoon. But most of the time, they do say that if it can be traced to the fact that there's not enough exercise and there's not enough walking and there's not enough sitting behind a television all day is very poor. It's not a good thing for an Alzheimer's victim.
So is it possible that a family member, let's say you could have a loved one that could be going through sundowning and not even be aware that there's an issue with whether it be Alzheimer's or some other types of dementia? Is that possible?
It is possible because personality changes happen. And I've often heard, they're getting older, it's just senility. Not necessarily. It's very difficult to diagnose that. And we really diagnose a lot from observation. But I think that when people have a change of personality, that's when you need to talk to your doctor.
Yeah. And would you recommend if that starts happening, should go to a regular doctor, a specialist? What do you think?
Well, I always like to see people going to a geriatrician because they're more familiar with what goes on in the aged. So I always recommend a geriatrician. But in our health system today, very often you have to start with your primary. And the primary will then lead you to a geriatrician. But that's usually the case. But I think that if you see personality changes, driving changes, changes in any behaviors, then it's time to start talking to your doctor.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen people with sundowning. I'm sure you have, of course, and
yes.
It's just mind-boggling to me. It's just wild.
I will tell you, I became involved in all of this because my dear sister in her mid-50s was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And that's what started me on this journey.
Yeah. Well, I love to talk about your book. I mean, we're honored that I think your book just came out, right? Maybe we're your first interview since your book came out. I don't know. But,
yes, the book came out this week, actually.
Oh, wow. Great timing. Yeah. Great timing. So tell us again the name of it, and also tell us kind of what I'm always interested to know what motivated people to write a particular book.
Well, the book is called What to Do with Your Stuff. It's a guide to decisions about personal possessions and life choices, and it is really written toward baby boomers, seniors, and their families. And what motivated me was the fact that I have many clients who have gotten to know me over the years, and when parents pass away and they start to, and without making any decisions, they start to go through their parents' stuff and end up arguing over the simplest items. For instance, and I talk about this in my book, I had a couple, a brother and a sister, who argued over a candy dish, a small candy dish that the mother had left M&Ms or some kind of candy for them when they came home from school as young children. So it brought back very, very wonderful memories. And both of them wanted it. The gentleman wanted it for his children. The daughter wanted it for hers. And it really was fracturing their relationship. And they came to see me to say, what do I do? What do we do? How can we manage this? Because we really both want it. So after quite a bit of time talking with them, we ended up deciding that one would have it for 6 months and the other one would have it for 6 months. And at least they walked out talking to each other. But that's a very small example of what can happen. It can be much more serious if there is a lot of money involved or land or homes, that type of thing.
So how does the book differ maybe from other books on a similar subject matter? Kind of how is it set up? What could people expect if they were to get the book?
Well, first of all, it is different because it is made up of a lot of stories of how other people have handled things. It also gives you the how-to, where to start, who to call if you need help, what to think about, and it also talks about particular issues, and especially one of fairness. Often people say, well, should I give one child more than the other when one child needs more than the other? How do we work that out? And that is addressed in the book as well. It is a simple book. It is a fast read, and I did that deliberately so that people would start thinking about it, because it's really important to do this.
So I don't want to give away everything in the book, but I got to believe communication is the key, correct?
Oh, absolutely. It is communication. However, if you know your family well, and they are not the kind of family that get along well, it's sometimes making your decisions yourself are really the way to go.
So tell us how can people get the book?
Well, it is now on Amazon and Kindle, and they can always go to my website, which is www.whattodowithyourstuff.com, and you can order the book through the publisher, CreateSpace, or Amazon, or Kindle.
That's great. So let's talk about some of the things you address. I mean, is it common for people not to state their wishes with regard to possessions, after they pass? I mean, do you find a lot of families don't do that, and that causes that friction between family members?
Oh, yes. I often hear, let the kids decide. I can't be bothered. That's what I hear the most. Or who wants our stuff? And oftentimes people think none of the kids want it. And I have often said, well, have you asked? And they said, oh, no, we haven't bothered. I have found that when you ask your family, especially if you are close in proximity, they always do want something. Or then there's I just recently heard the story where a young man came in and saw some work that his mother had made. She was an artist, and he said, so how much are these paintings worth? And she said, why? He said, well, I just want to know. So when you're gone, and she stopped right there, and she said, well, you're not going to get a one. So because she really felt they were too precious, and she wanted them to go to somebody who would enjoy them. Very interesting. And that's the typical kind of thing. Parents think that their kids know exactly what they want, and what we have found is that they don't always know what you want. It's what they want. And this is a book to say what you want. It should be your decision. And the focus of the book is on making decisions so that it can be your wishes and your decisions.
I know in the book you discuss various stories of actual stories of people. Can you share any with us and give us some examples of what people can expect in the book? Okay.
Well, one, of course, is the candy dish. Uh-huh. That is definitely in there. Also, I have some of my own personal stories in there. I have a beautiful pendant that was a wonderful surprise from my husband, and I talk about the story that goes with that pendant. And the reason I have included and stressed talking about stories is that stories give life to whatever it is you are leaving. And to think that your parent took the time to say, I want Jane to have this particular piece of jewelry, and this is why. Here's the story that goes with it. That makes that piece of jewelry very, very special. And they feel so special that their parent thought about them and wrote the story. So I always encourage a story to go along with anything. If they travel, many people buy special things when they're traveling, somewhat of a remembrance of that particular trip. And if it's important, and it doesn't have to be worth a lot of money, as long as it's important to you, write it down, who you want to have it, and what the story is and where did it come from.
So let's think positive here, and let's say there's a number of families out there that do get along well, all right?
Yes.
I mean, do you recommend to the families that they just, if they can get together and have the elderly, their parents, let's say, openly just discuss it with them? Hey, who wants this, or who's going to want that, or is that just unlikely to happen?
No, that does happen, and I have a story in the book about a woman, an 88-year-old woman, who actually did just that. She called her daughters, and there were 4 of them, and she said, I want you to come over on Sunday, no children, no husbands, just the 4 girls, and I'll tell you what it's all about when you get here. And when she got there, when the children got there, she had put all her jewelry and all her special things on the dining room table and said, I want everybody to choose what they want. And if there's any friction or any argument, I will take that item away and I will make the decision myself. And the day went very well. The girls chose what they wanted. It was delightful. And what was left over, they couldn't decide, so the mother made her own decision. But at least it was a very positive thing. If you know your family and you feel that you can ask them, I always suggest, why don't you ask and see what it is that they would like? Maybe there's something somebody wanted and you never knew it.
Right.
So I always say, start with asking your family, and even asking your family how they would like it handled. Would they like mother or dad to make all the decisions, or would they prefer to help make them as well? So you can do it both ways. It can be a very positive thing. I know I have one client who did just that. She was thrilled. She said she came away never knowing that the children wanted it as much as they did. So she thought it was a very good thing to do.
And it could be something small. I mean, after my father passed away, he had this little lightweight jacket that he used to wear all the time, and it was a logo on there of a hardware store that was actually owned by a friend of his. And he used to wear that all the time, just casually. Just something about that jacket, you know. I mean, it might have been worth, who knows, $10 or something, but I wanted it. You know, and so it doesn't have to be necessarily, we're not necessarily talking about expensive things all the time. Is that right?
Absolutely not. As I said, that little candy dish was an old-fashioned, if you recall, Woolworth's candy dish. It was a little glass dish. It meant it was not monetarily had no value, but it was sentimentally. It had a great deal of value.
Yeah, yeah. So, tell us who it's really geared towards. I know you mentioned a wide range. So is the book written more for the elderly person to give them suggestions how to handle it, or is the book geared more for families to figure out how to make it work after a loved one has passed?
Well, it has a little bit of both. I think that it is geared toward families to get the discussion started. Mm-hmm. And I talk about ways in which to get this discussion started. So there's a game called Go Wish Cards that you can easily purchase, and they bring up things that most people won't talk about easily. You wouldn't come out with thinking about that. And there's many different ways to get the word out. And so I often think it should start with families, perhaps baby boomers, to bring it to the attention of their parents. I also feel that seniors should be reading it so they can fill in the area in the back where it's about life decisions. There's also a chapter on legal issues that Roy Litherland, my attorney, who I work for, wrote. And it's very interesting, and I think that people should be informed, and this book is to help them be informed.
I got to believe the toughest part, and and I've seen it happen with other families, but mom has this wedding ring, okay? And the example you gave with 4 daughters, I mean, how does a parent decide something like that?
Well, I think that it's very difficult, and it's all emotional. And how you might say, well, one wedding ring is, some people have more than one. Some have a wedding ring, some have a locket, some have a brooch, so that it doesn't matter whether it's equal in value. And I think that's what people get confused about. Wow, if I give this to one daughter, it's worth so much more than if I give this. And I think what's important is the meaning behind what you're giving and the story that goes with it, so they can appreciate how important it is. And that's my way of thinking. Everybody will do it their own way. I have met people who say, oh no, it has to be fair. If I give one of such value to one person, it has to be the same to the other. And then I've had other people come to me and say, I have one child that needs a lot more help and another that doesn't need any. Do I leave more to that child who needs the help and the other one gets less? Mm-hmm. How is that handled? And that is something I address in the book as well.
Good. So,
I also want to say this book has a great deal of information for end-of-life decisions. And I would like to address that.
Okay, great. Please do.
I really feel that many people always think that their families are going to make their end-of-life decisions Do you want to be intubated? Do you want to have a feeding tube? If, God forbid, you have a stroke and you're not able to walk or talk, what would you like? And those decisions, 80% of the population tells you, oh, sure, I am going to put down my wishes. My kids know what I want. I've told them. Doesn't work that way. When it comes to the actual moment, it's emotional. It is not necessarily the wishes of the patient. It's very emotional, and the family makes those decisions. Or if one is very religious and another one is not, one that's religious may make the decisions based on the religion, where the other one will not. So I really think it's important for all of us, to write down how you feel, what you wish, and then that brings me to the journal.
That's great. Lois, hey, it was wonderful having you on the show. We just got about 30 seconds left here, so why don't you tell people how they could get a hold of you or to get the book itself?
Okay. It is on Amazon and Kindle. They can get a hold of me through www.whattodowithyourstuff.com. I'll be happy to answer questions. They can contact me or write their stories. I would love to hear it, or ask questions.